Hey, before we go any further, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I'm trying to hit 500,000 subscribers this year. Now, without any further ado, let's get into the video. Today, we're going to be talking about a game and the main problem with it, but it's a game I haven't played. So I know that's going to come across as something very bizarre, very confusing to you, but trust me, by the end of this video, you will fully understand where I am coming from when it comes to Forspoken and the real problem with Forspoken, the main issue that people are just sort of overlooking when it comes to this game. Now, like I said, I have not played the full version of Forspoken. I did play the demo of the game. It was okay-ish, you know, I didn't necessarily care for it. It feels like a game that we had seen so many times. You know, Square Enix and PlayStation had done a lot of presentations that were sort of surrounded by Forspoken. This was the first game for PlayStation in the year of 2023 that was an exclusive game. We got deep dives and deep sorts of gameplay trailers and stuff like that, story stuff, and obviously there was some stuff that was kind of a bit off with the game. You know, a lot of the dialogue, the sort of weird setting and story, it kind of rubs some people the wrong way. They're like, that's a little bit over the top, that's a little bit cringe. But the game itself looked like it would be okay. Now, reviews, of course, have come out for Forspoken, and it's pretty much what I expected it to be and what most people expected to be. Kind of just something middle of the road. Not a horrible game or anything like that, but definitely something that was a bit undercooked. You can see over here on Metacritic, it is currently sitting at a 68, which everyone thinks means it's like the worst game in the world now, when that's really not the case. A 68 is a middle of the road score. Doesn't mean it's one of the best games ever. Doesn't necessarily mean it's one of the worst games ever. Square Enix themselves have had worse scoring games than this game. Let's just talk about Balan Wonderworld, shall we? I mean, that is way down on the Metacritic score than this game Forspoken is. Now, we have some people that like the game. I mean, there's always going to be people that enjoy a game, even when a majority of people maybe don't. Maybe it just hit with them well. Maybe they liked some of the mechanics of the game. You see here, there's some, you know, 95s, 90s out of 100. Forspoken is an incredible title. This, that, and the other is a little bit too generic. The gameplay is inventive, magical, and an absolute blast. So there's people that genuinely like the game, and they genuinely like the story, they genuinely like the voice acting, even though I feel like a lot of people thought it was a bit cringe. And then there's people that didn't necessarily like the game quite as much. As we go down, we start to get some lower scores here, some 70s, some 65s and stuff like that. And basically a lot of people seem to think that it was a bit too just inventive. You know, it was a bit something that sort of lacked a focus. You know, you have the magic, you have the parkour stuff, you have this sort of weird over the top story, you have these boss battles. It seemed like most people, there was at least one or two things that they liked that other people didn't like. Maybe you liked the parkour, maybe you liked the magic, but you didn't like the story. Or on the other hand, maybe you did like the story and you liked the magic, but not necessarily the parkour. What it really boils down to, though, is this is a game that, you know, got some mediocre scores. It got some scores that, you know, people I think were anticipating with this game. It never really screamed that it was going to be a game that was, you know, game of the year contender or anything like that. And when you come in at a $70 price point and you're a console exclusive game, you're gonna come down to this sort of scrutiny. Like I said, with my time with the demo of the game, I could tell that this wasn't going to be a game for me, and it seems like for a lot of people, it's not a game for them. So then what's the actual problem here? The game is currently sitting at a 68 on Metacritic, which means it's not the worst game ever. It's kind of a middle of the road game. It'll probably go on sale, which is when I'll pick it up. Is it the main character? Is it the dialogue of the main character? Is there some sort of disconnect there? Is it the parkour system? Is it the magic system? Is it the combat in the game? None of that is the main problem with this game. I think this game set out to be something a bit different, something that, you know, some people will like and some people wouldn't like, and I think it succeeded in that as far as, you know, just being a game. Not every game is going to be the best game ever. Not every game is going to be a game of the year contender. The problem is we have this whole new narrative that is coming along that is absolutely disgusting. It's something that I joked about with the Spawncast as, you know, just something very tongue-in-cheek. I was like, I bet you that this will end up happening. And it did happen. It has indeed happened. Because now people, white people by the way, are saying that if you don't like Forspoken, you are an it, or practicing an ism, or an ist thing. And I have two main quotes here from some people that just show this in a bizarre light. David Jaffe, creator of God of War. I'm inches from pulling the trigger on Forspoken, spelled wrong by the way, at $70. Part of it is the good stuff I'm hearing from people who are playing it and the fact I did enjoy the demo. The other part is I want to buy it to spite the assholes who clearly don't like women, black people, or PlayStation? Is that where we're going down here? We're gonna play the race card. We're gonna play the we don't like women card, the sexist card, the misogynist card with this. You don't like PlayStation. If somebody doesn't like PlayStation, of course they're not gonna buy a PlayStation game here. If this game, if you're so interested in this game, you should just buy the game. You like the demo. You like what you're hearing from people. If you're so interested in this game, you should know how to spell it. You should know how to spell it. And it's like, what's the point of saying this? Like, I don't get it. If you want to buy a game, buy the game. If you don't want to buy the game, don't buy the game. You don't have to start calling people, you know, ists and isms and misogyny and all this stuff and assholes because they didn't like the game. Now, I'm not saying that there aren't people that don't exist that are maybe looking at this game and they're like, oh, it's got a girl in it because there's a woman. It's a girl lead character. I'm not gonna buy this game because it's an ethnic woman and I don't like PlayStation. Like, the amount of people that actually fall into that category is so minuscule. But you actually give them a platform. You actually make them become more of a thing by saying they exist, when in actuality, the amount of people that are in that category don't exist. This isn't 2005 anymore, okay? Maybe during that time frame, Jaffe, when you were making video games, you can make that case because, I mean, why didn't God of War have a female lead character? Why were women in the first God of War game a sex mini game? Like, let's just call a spade here, Jaffe. Like, if you want to go down this road with it, like, let's just call a spade a spade. You know, things change. The demographics of video games from 2005 to 2023 are completely different. You have way more women, way more ethnicities, way more children, way more older people playing video games now, making it a more inclusive thing, meaning that there's going to be games for different types of people. And all because someone doesn't support a certain game because they don't like the game or they play the demo, they didn't find the demo to be interesting, doesn't make them a racist, doesn't make them misogynistic, doesn't make them an asshole, doesn't make them a PlayStation hater. It makes them a person that has their own opinion on things, much like you have your own opinion. And then we have this turd nugget of information. This is actually a screenshot because I saw it floating around on Twitter, and for some reason, a person who I've never interacted with has blocked me. Brianna Wu, if you know her story, it's a story. Gonna be straight with y'all about Forspoken. Hey, at least she spelled it right. You can find wildly cringe dialogue in almost any AAA game. This is not even in the top 100 worst things I've heard. The increased scrutiny of this game is obviously because it's a black woman protagonist. Yet another white person telling you that you don't like this game or you're not interested in this game, not because the game isn't good, not because the game doesn't suit your needs, but because it's a black woman as the protagonist of the game. Once again, I have to go back to the 2005 mantra. You know, if this was 2005, maybe you could make the case for that, because I feel like gamers were definitely, you know, the Mountain Dew jerking off in your basement sort of people. But as gaming has evolved and as things have evolved within the gaming industry, it's become way more inclusive. There's become way more lead characters and, you know, different ethnicities and different sexualities and stuff like that. By doing things like this, you're placing, you know, gatekeeping ideas into people to the point of where people are going to be like, well, if I don't like this game, I'm going to be looked at as an ist or an ism or a misogynistic person or something like that. And it's absolutely bizarre. And when I look at the black content creators that I follow on Twitter, none of them are saying this. They're all saying it's not because the character is black, it's because the game is mid. Broken Games HDR, host of the Weapon Wheel podcast, probably my favorite podcast to actually listen to. I don't listen to the Spawncast. I listen to the Weapon Wheel podcast. I've been a guest on there a couple times. Great podcast, very funny stuff. Make sure you guys are subscribed to his channel. Made a perfect tweet here. I hate the narrative that people aren't supporting Forspoken because the main character is black. That was the case with Mafia 3. It is not the case with Forspoken. Forspoken is just mid. The black lead is a coincidence. Now, I can't speak for anything when it comes to Mafia 3. I have never played Mafia 3 before, but with Forspoken, it's obvious to a lot of people that it's just not a great game, and that's okay. You know, it's a middle of the road game. There have been middle of the road games featuring lots of ethnicities, sexes, genders, you know, age groups and stuff like that. It's okay for a game to be mid, but when you have these people These people with a large following that are out there trying to convince you that you don't like this game because you're a racist, sexist. All it does is something that I talk about all the time. It diminishes actual racist things. It diminishes actual sexist things because people get tired of seeing everything called racist. They get tired of seeing everything called sexist. And when something actually is racist or when something actually is sexist, they can't necessarily react to it because it's just been so overblown. You constantly say these words and you don't understand the meanings of these words. You don't understand the impact of these words. I'm not trying to speak for anyone but myself here, but I feel like the real problem with Forspoken are these people who are saying that you're a racist, sexist asshole who hates PlayStation if you don't like this game, when that's not the case. I don't think you're I don't think you're anti-Italian if you don't like a Mario game. I don't think you're anti-furry. Oh, that's gonna get me in trouble. If you don't like a Sonic game. And anyone who thinks that, and like I said, there are a very minute, probably like 12 people in the world who are like, nah, woman, woman. Like, okay, that's fine. Don't give them a platform. Don't give them any credit. Don't give them any sort of notoriety for being that way. That's really what's up with Forspoken. These idiots who pigeonhole people who don't like the game as isms, bigots, misogynists. Just shut the hell up. Let people enjoy things. Let people not enjoy things. Not everything has to be about sex. Not everything has to be about race. It's entertainment. That's as simple as that, man. It's as simple as that. So let me know what you think of this in the comments section down below. And as always, guys, thank you for checking out this video. If you are new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button, like, comment, and share. Hit that bell notification as well. And as always, I'll catch you guys on the next video. Later.